Now you're recording. Okay, so we will follow the steps. Okay, the steps which we have discussed earlier. The first step was to see if the left turning can be permitted or protected. Let me put it over here. Okay, first of all, we have to decide about the left turns. Okay, so for left turn, I gave you the criteria that you for each side you can multiply the left turning with the opposite movement, which is the through movement, and if the product of them is more than 50,000 for one lane and 90,000 for two lanes and 110,000 for three or more lanes, then you will give the left turning as uh, protected. Otherwise, it can be permissive if there is no other safety criteria given. Safety criteria can be sight distance, number of crashes, and so on and so forth. No safety criteria is given here, so I will just check with the volume. Okay, with the volume criteria. Okay, so for each side, I will take the number and multiply with the opposite through movement. So first of all, I will take it for eastbound, let's say. Okay, so for eastbound, the left turning is 136. Okay, I'm sorry if the figure is small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. 138. Okay, so 138 multiplied by uh, the opposing through movement, which is 920. How much do you get? And keep your calculators at hand. Okay, keep your calculators at hand. How much is it?
16,560.
$16,560. Okay, so it will be what? It is not. Okay, the value is 90,000 for two lanes. Even for one lane it is 50,000. Okay, so it is less than that.
No, it's 126,960.
Yes, Doctor, I have a mistake.
126,000 and 560.
960, not 5. Yeah.
Okay, so then everything changes, right? It should be protected. Okay, because the limit is even for three lanes. Okay, first of all, let me clarify. Opposing lanes are these two lanes. Okay, these two lanes from which you have the through movement. Okay, from which you have the through movement. So opposing lanes are two. So you will check with the criteria of two lanes. Okay, here it doesn't make much difference because it is higher than any value which we have for two or three lanes or whatever, but opposing are the lanes from which you have the through movement. Okay, so these are two lanes. Okay, so you as I said, this is a slightly easier problem, so the geometry is same in all directions. Okay, so in all directions you have two lanes from which the through movement can happen. Okay, so we are checking the criteria of two lanes and the criteria is 90,000. Okay, then coming to westbound. Westbound left is 115 multiplied by the opposing through, which is 1007. How much?
$115,805.
115.
805.
9.
805. But
Again, it is more than any criteria. Okay, the highest one is we have is 110, so it will be protected as well. Okay, then we have southbound. Okay, so southbound left turn is 103 multiplied by the opposing through, which is 840. How much?
865. 20.
865.
20. Yeah.
Okay. So now, as I said, for two lanes, the criteria is 90,000. It is less than 90,000, so it will be permissive. Okay. And northbound left turn. Where is it? 124. By the opposing through, which is 695. How much?
86180.
86180. Okay, so it will be permissive as well. Okay, so we know which of them should be protected, which of them should be permissive. Okay, the next thing is to adjust the volumes. Okay, to flow rate. Now all of them are in passenger cars per hour. So if they required any heavy vehicle adjustment factor, it is already applied. Okay, so adjusted, let me call it flow rates. In your table here, movement, flow rate. Okay, now I will assume the peak hour factor to be 0.95. Okay, there's just an assumption because it is not given. If it is given, obviously you will take the given value. Let me write the volume as well, so it will be easier for you. Okay, eastbound 138. All right. Oh, sorry, eastbound through 184. Okay, so to find out the flow rate, I have to do what? What should I do with these values?
Divide by the peak hour factor.
Divide by the peak hour factor. Okay, so as I'm writing the values, you can start their division. Okay. Tell me the values.
One 145.3.
155. Okay.
145.
145.
1060.
1060.
194. 121. 968. 85. 131. 884. 64. 108. 732. It's 732. And 55.
55. Okay. The next step is to identify the lane groups. Okay. Okay. Now to identify, or let me just remove this one. We didn't use it. Okay. Now again, the good thing is the geometry of the intersection is same in all directions. So if you identify the lane group in one direction, it will be similar to the other one as well. Now, for example, if you take the eastbound direction, what lane groups do we have? How many lane groups do we have? Eastbound direction, this direction. So it will be the same for the other direction as well. How many lane groups do we have?
3 lane groups.
3 lane groups. Okay. Each one of them is a separate lane group because in each one of them you have at least one different movement. Okay. So this one, left turning, completely different. This is exclusive through, and that one, the last one, is through and right. So all of them will have different capacities and they will be in different lane groups. Okay, so what I will do is I'm giving you the convention. I'm starting from right. So starting from right, this will be lane group 1 for eastbound. So eastbound 1, eastbound 2, eastbound 3. Okay, so this is a convention which I'm going to follow. Okay, eastbound 1 means through and right, eastbound 2 means through, and eastbound 3 means left. Okay, same thing for the westbound as well. Westbound 1 means through and right, 2 means through, and 3 means left, and same thing for northbound and southbound as well. Okay, so this is the convention I'm going to follow. So we have identified 3 lane groups in all directions. Okay, and I told you the convention, how I'm going to write it. I will make another table here because we need the so we have the movement and we have the lane group and flow rate and saturation flow rate and then the V by S ratio. Okay, so for each lane group I need to identify the V by S ratio. Okay, so lane group, the flow rate, passenger cars per hour, but I need it per lane as well. Okay, passenger cars per hour per lane. Okay, and then the saturation flow rate. Now saturation flow rates are given here. And they are also passenger cars per hour per Then you will calculate the V bias ratio. Okay, so eastbound 1, okay, the one which has the right turning and the through movement. Okay, now I have to assume how much movement, because for through movement then I have two possible lanes, right? For through movement I have two possible lanes, eastbound 1 and eastbound 2. Okay, so eastbound 2 is exclusive. So like they did in the class example, I'm assuming 55% of through movement to go from eastbound 2 and 45% will go from eastbound 1, and the right turning will be added. Okay, so how will it go? The right turning, eastbound right turning, I will add it. Sorry, it should be right turning. Okay, so right turning is 194 plus 45% of through movement, which is 1060. So how much is it?
671.
671. Okay, the saturation flow rate for this one is 1600. If you have a lane which is through and right shared, and the flow rate is saturation flow rate is 1600. Okay, now I'll go to bound 2. So it will be the remaining of 1060. How much is it?
583.
583, and this one is for left turning, so I'll just simply take the volume of left turning, which is 145. For left turning, the saturation flow rate is this one. Okay, now obviously saturation flow rates, because the lane assignments are the same, saturation flow rates will not change. Okay, so you can calculate the remaining values. I'm just preparing the table. Okay, westbound 2, westbound 3, then we have northbound 1, northbound 2, northbound 3, southbound 1, southbound 2. Okay, so for westbound 1, I will take the westbound right turning. I think I made a mistake here. Did I make a mistake here? No, sorry, this is correct. Okay, westbound right 85 plus 45% 968. 85 plus and this one is westbound left turning, which is 0.21. Okay, then we have northbound right, which is westbound through, which is 15.
Doctor, the westbound is 968, not 168.
Okay, sorry. Okay, and the southbound 55. Seven speed 2. Okay. So we have this. Okay, I need this one. How much is this?
521.
21. Some of you can start calculating V by S ratio, and some of you can give me these values. It will be better. Okay. So Nadine, okay, I think you should go on. What is this value?
532.
532. Someone else can go ahead and start calculating the V by S ratios. Okay.
462.
462.
486.
486.
399.
399.
403.
403. Okay, thank you. Price ratios. So V is this flow rate and S is this saturation flow rate.
Point 42.
42, okay.
0.36. 0.1. Just 0.1. 0.33. 0.33 again. 0.09. 0.29. 0.3. 0.09. 0.25. 0.25 again. And 0.08.
Okay, now the next step is to find out the phasing plan. Okay, now if you do the summation of V by S ratios, okay, it will be very high, obviously. So that means what? That means, like I said earlier, that you cannot have a phase for each of these lane groups separately. You have to obviously, you have to, and you do merge some of the lane groups. Okay, so what I will do here is I will make the phasing plan, and I will explain to you how what I'm doing. Okay, so pay attention, because obviously my explanation cannot be in writing. So let me make this big box here. Okay, so one side of it will be for east-west movement or east-west direction, and the other one will be for north-south direction. Okay, now if you remember the rules which we have learned earlier, that is keep the movements which have the similar V by S ratios, keep them in the same phase. Okay, and what else? Then we have already found which movements are permitted and which movements are permissive and which movements are protected. So the left turning for north-south direction is permissive. Left turning for north-south direction is permissive. So I do not need a separate phase for left turning in the north-south direction. Okay. And I will make two rings here. Okay. So this is ring 1 and this one is ring 2. Okay. Now east-west direction, we said that we should keep the now eastbound 1 and eastbound 2, they will go together because they are in the same movement group, because they are sharing a movement in both these lanes. In both these lane groups, the straight movement is there, so they have to go together. Similarly, westbound 1, westbound 2, they have to go together. Okay, and then I have to decide where will westbound 3 go and eastbound 3 will go. Okay, for north and south direction, all three lane groups can go together, because again, as I said, left turning is permissive. So northbound 1, 2 and 3 can go together, and southbound 1, 2 and 3 can go together. Okay, no problem. Now okay, now if you see here, eastbound 3 and westbound 3, they have similar V bias ratios. They have similar V bias ratios. Okay, so they should be in the same phase, or they can be in the same phase. Okay, so this is eastbound left turning. Okay, and this is westbound left turn. So I'm putting them in the same phase. Okay, this one has a so you can see the V bias ratios from here. Okay, and then after the eastbound left turning finishes, I can start the westbound through movement, right? So westbound, this one is right turning will be this side, right? Okay. So this is lane group number 1. This is lane group number 2 for the westbound. Okay, and when this finishes, the eastbound through movement can start. Now, if you look here, so I am merging. So if you look at westbound 1 and 2, if you look at westbound 1 and 2, they have 0.33. The ratio is 0.33. Device ratio is 0.33. For eastbound 1 and 2, obviously I will take the critical one of them, and the critical one is 0.42. 0.42. So this 0.42 and 0.33 are going in the same phase. So what we can do is we can do some overlapping with this one, because this is higher. So we can overlap it with the previous phase. So instead of starting with exactly this phase, I started somewhere earlier. Okay, so I'm starting this movement slightly earlier. Okay, because it has a higher V by S ratio. Okay, so this one is now so this will become the critical ring now, 0.09 for this one and 0.42 V by S ratio for this one. Okay, then if you come to north south, okay, then since left turnings are permissive, so what I will do is I will make all the three movements in the same phase, and both these movements can go together. Okay, because left turnings are permissive. Why should I keep them separate? Okay, so left turning, this will be the right turning. Okay, so they are going together because we found that the left turnings can be permissive. Okay, if the left turnings are not permissive, then you make them into two separate phases. Simple. Okay, if the left turnings were not permissive, you can make them into two separate phases, and you can then see if we can apply these rules that we have applied here. Okay, that the similar ratios should be together and so on and so forth. You can check for these things, but for the time being, when left turning becomes permissive, it becomes much easier for us. Okay, so they are in the same lane. Okay, these two are in the same. Okay, now out of these two, if you look at the V by S ratios, the most critical one is, where is it? This one. Okay, this is a critical out of, because they are happening in the same phase. So out of all of them, I will just pick one, which is 0.3. Okay, now if you calculate the summation of V by S ratios, okay, so this movement has 0.09, this movement has 0.42. Okay, obviously these are higher, so I will take this one, this combination 0.09 plus 0.42. If you take this combination, it will be lower than this. This is 0.1 and this is 0.33. So if you take this combination, it will be lower than this combination. Okay, so we'll take the higher combination. And as I said, for this one, this is 0.3. Okay, so 0.09 plus 0.42 plus 0.3. How much? The next step is to find out the clearance intervals. Okay, so clearance interval was, okay, TPR plus S naught divided by 2 into A plus G small g plus it was S naught divided by the width. Okay, now again, for the sake of our convenience, and since the geometry is same, the road geometry is same, so I'm assuming that the speed will also be same in both directions. Okay, so I'm assuming S naught to be 45 miles per hour. If it was something else, I would have taken that value, and then I would have calculated the clearance interval for each side differently. Okay, but since the road geometry is same and the speed is not given, so I'm assuming a value. So I will assume a value which is more convenient, which makes sense to me. So having same speed on both directions makes sense because the road geometry is same. Okay, TPR, perception reaction time for signals, we take it as 1 second. Okay, so S naught 45, we have to convert it into feet per second. 2 into 11.2, which is the A value. Okay, and no gradient is given, so I will assume it to be a level, and the gradient, then this term becomes 0, right? This term becomes 0 if there is no gradient, plus S naught, which is again same thing, 45 into 1.7 divided by W. Okay, lane width 12 feet. Okay, standard, we will assume standard lane width. So 3 lanes here, 2 lanes here, so 12 into 5. Plus, we have to assume some width for the median, so let us assume it to be 5 feet. Okay, now again, these values should have been given, but they are not given, so I'm just, trying to assume these things. These values should be given or should be taken from the field. Okay, now give me these terms separately. Okay, so give me this term and give me this term separately, because we said these two make yellow interval and these two make the all red interval. So give it to me separately.
2.95.
2.95.
And 1.2.
1.2.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this will remain same for all directions. This will remain the same for all directions because nothing is changed. Okay, so this means that 1 plus 2.95, so that is basically 4 seconds, right? 4 seconds. So 4 seconds, yellow should be less than equal to 4 seconds, and all red should be less than equal to 2 seconds. Okay, so clearance interval total 6 seconds, and you have the division here. Okay, next thing is to find out or to assume or whatever the case is the lost time. Okay,
Doctor,
now sorry,
I made a mistake in the last term.
okay, how much is it?
It's 1.02. Yeah.
1.0, so we can take it as 1 second. Okay, so clearance loss time, then that means 5 seconds, right? Okay, loss time for each phase, we have 2 loss times in each phase: clearance loss time and startup loss time. For them, the values are given. Okay, we took it in the class example as well. I don't have it here, but anyways, you can look at in the class example. It is between 1 to 2 seconds. Okay, so the total loss time is basically 4 seconds per phase, taking the values which they have given me in the book. Okay, if you want to find out your own loss time, go ahead, go in the field and find out your own loss time. Okay, and total loss time for the cycle, so I will add the loss time of the critical phases. So along, this is 2 phases in this ring, and one phase here, because they are happening together. The phases which are happening together, I will take the loss time from one of them, right? From one of them. So this one plus this one. So the loss time per phase is 4 seconds. I will add it for 3 phases. So it will be 12 seconds. 4 into 3, 4 per phase, and there are 3 phases along the critical path. So 12 seconds. Okay. Then the next thing is calculating the cycle length, but we don't have time for that. Okay, so we'll continue it tomorrow, inshallah.